We've all been there, right? You finish just a brutal travel day, you pull into the hotel parking lot, check in, you get the key card, find your room, drop your bags, and you lock that door.
Yeah.
And for that one brief, perfect moment, you just feel this massive sense of relief. You're anonymous, you're isolated, and you have this manufactured sanctuary. It's a temporary home built for total privacy.
And that feeling of safety, that immediate safety, that's the illusion. That's the thing we all rely on, and it is incredibly powerful.
It is.
We basically surrender ourselves, our belongings, our vulnerability to these places, and we expect the institution to just maintain a baseline level of security and peace.
Of course.
Our deep dive today is going to systematically dismantle that reliance. We're looking at 4 incredibly detailed, really unnerving case files, really, that describe what happens when that security just fails.
Yeah.
Completely.
And these are not just, stories about a bad night's sleep. These are invasions. We're going to move from calculated human psychological warfare.
Right.
Using things like broken window latches and stolen master keys. And then we're going to go right into territory involving environmental manipulation, breathing shadows, and completely featureless figures stalking employees.
So our mission here is to treat these narratives as actionable intelligence.
Exactly.
We need to dissect the specifics, the timing, the security flaws, the whole sensory environment to uncover the common threads. Where did the perimeter fail, and how did that failure become this massive breach of trust that allows for terror?
Precisely. And we're analyzing the mechanics of fear when, vulnerability meets total neglect. For you, the listener, this is about recognition. Why do these specific hotel stories stick with us so much?
Yeah, why these?
Because they tap into that primal evolutionary fear of being watched, of being invaded exactly where you expect total, absolute security. We want to identify the patterns of terror that exist right in these mundane places so you know how to spot the cracks in the sanctuary.
Okay, let's get into it.
Let's unpack this. We're diving straight into section 1, the calculated invasion. We're starting with the most tangible threats cases, where a human presence used premeditation and exploited massive, confirmed security failures.
Human actors.
Human actors.
Yeah.
So gather around the campfire, because this one's about the exploitation of silence. Case File 1 brings us to a small city in Pennsylvania. This wasn't some rundown, seedy motel on the side of the highway. The witness describes checking into a standard, regular-looking hotel.
Right.
But it had those slightly off, unsettling details that you always seem to hear about before something happens.
The little red flags.
The little red flags, the old depressing red carpet, and critically, this faint smell that reminded me of my grandma's house.
That detail, the grandma's house smell, is fascinating from a psychological standpoint. It creates an immediate cognitive dissonance.
Oh, so?
While the environment feels familiar, maybe a little cozy, just dated, not threatening, it establishes this misleading sense of domesticity and safety, which is then just violently contradicted by what happens next.
It lowers your guard.
It completely lowers your guard. The witness also mentions the hallway was very quiet and felt a little empty in a strange way. And that isolated quiet, that's the perfect medium for this kind of threat.
And the threat starts so subtly. The initial trigger is waking up around 1:30 in the morning to a soft scraping sound, a sliding on the floor sound. At first, they rationalize it. It's the ice machine down the hall, or someone's dragging their luggage far away.
Of course, that's what your brain does. It seeks the normal explanation.
But then the sound repeats, unmistakably, right by the door. It's not loud, it's soft, it's deliberate. And what slides underneath the first note?
Let's just pause and analyze that first note. The message was so simple. Someone was watching me from somewhere inside the hotel.
It's chilling.
It's high-level psychological warfare. It doesn't threaten you with violence, not right away. It asserts omnipresent, sustained awareness.
The goal isn't a quick attack.
No, the goal is to maximize terror, to make you believe that your location, your movements, everything you do is known.
And the methodology is so calculating. The witness specifically notes they didn't hear any footsteps after the note appeared.
Right, and that is the detail that turns the screw. The lack of sound.
Nothing, just a note.
Exactly. If they had heard footsteps running away, they could rationalize it as a prank, some kids running down the hall. But the absence of sound, it makes the entire hotel feel hostile. It feels intelligent.
Because the observer is silent, invisible.
And potentially stationary. Maybe they're right outside your door. Maybe they're at the end of the hall. Maybe they're somewhere you can't even imagine looking. The anxiety of that uncertainty just becomes crushing.
So the witness does what anyone would do. They lock the chain, they sit on the bed, back against the wall, just staring at the door,
Waiting.
waiting. And about 20 minutes pass, and the sliding sound returns. This is the escalation.
And note 2 is where it becomes a deep violation. This one slides slowly, like someone was gently pushing it with one finger. It just draws out the tension.
Yeah, I can just picture that.
And the message shifts dramatically. It goes from external surveillance to prior internal penetration. The note claimed the person had been inside my room earlier in the day before I arrived.
Oh, no.
And chillingly liked watching people sleep in this hotel.
That is the line. That's the demarcation. Being watched from afar is one thing that's deeply unsettling. But learning that your personal sanctuary, the space you trusted, the place you were vulnerable, was already compromised before you even walked in.
It's a different level of trauma.
It's a feeling of taint. It's like finding out a hidden camera was recording you for days. The room isn't just a shelter anymore, it's a crime scene.
And this introduces that critical paranoia factor. The witness noted the handwriting looked shakier on the second note, so now they're questioning the source.
Right, who is this person?
Is it a disturbed outsider? A juvenile prank? Or, and this is the most frightening possibility for any guest, is it a hotel employee using their access?
And it's after 2 in the morning.
It's after 2 a.m., which leads to that paralyzing dilemma. Do you call the front desk? Do you potentially implicate the very staff who are supposed to protect you? Or do you just wait it out? The threat has successfully, completely isolated them.
So they hold that tension for another half hour. Every little sound, the air conditioner clicking, a pipe tapping in the wall, every normal hotel sound becomes amplified.
It becomes a possible footstep, a movement.
Yes. The witness thinks, if a third note comes, I'm out. And, just as you'd expect in a horror story, the third note comes.
And this is the psychological climax. It's designed to force a panicked reaction. It was slayed even slower this time, just maximizing that agonizing wait.
And the message.
The message was simply, the person was already inside the room with me again.
That's the moment your rational brain just snaps. Is it a bluff? Is it a final psychological blow because they know you're watching the door?
Or it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. The panic mandates immediate, silent action.
The witness describes this forced full circle search. Closet, under the bed, behind the curtains.
Nothing.
Nothing. But the panic is real. It forces them to flee. They grab their bag, they bolt out the door, run down the hall, and they think they see a shadow retreat behind a corner near the last room.
But the terror doesn't become objective. It doesn't become concrete until they finally get the night employee to go check the room with them.
Right. This is the validation.
Upon inspection, they find the key physical evidence. The smoking gun that confirms the notes were not a fantasy.
What was it?
The window lock was broken, and it looked recent. The metal was bent, the perimeter had been breached repeatedly.
So the broken latch validates everything. The prior entry, the hidden presence. The room was structurally insecure, full stop.
And what struck me was the employee's response. A nervous, quick dismissal, suggesting maybe someone from outside had gotten in earlier and that it was all just a weird misunderstanding.
The institutional minimization. It's a classic response.
It immediately compounds the feeling of a cover-up. The witness just fled the city, permanently tainted by the experience.
And it illustrates this failure hierarchy we see in so many of these incidents. First, the physical security fails, the broken lock, which staff probably knew about. Second, the administrative and trust relationship fails. The employee denies and minimizes the physical evidence.
And the results.
The consequence is a complete justified loss of trust for the guest. It forces them to find safety somewhere else. This wasn't a ghost. This was a criminal, a human being, utilizing physical neglect and terrifying psychological tactics.
Okay, let's move to case file 2. We shift from those subtle, calculated notes to an immediate, definitive security failure. This is the Virginia incident.
Right.
And the core theme here is the failure of access control. It all starts with a late-night check-in. The hotel looks basic, the lobby is dark, and the front desk man barely looked up.
So you already have a lack of vigilance established.
Immediately, the initial vulnerability is just pure exhaustion and darkness. The witness is checking in close to midnight. They note the basic look at the place, but also the dim lighting and the number of doors that have "do not disturb" signs hanging.
So everyone there is seeking seclusion. Deep seclusion after a long day.
Exactly. And that desire for privacy is about to be contrasted starkly with the intrusion that follows.
Before the main event, though, the witness notes those little signs of an imperfect room.
Yes, a slightly tilted lamp, a dresser drawer that's a little open, and a small wrinkle on the bed blanket. as if someone sat there recently.
Oh, and they dismiss it.
They dismiss it as just sloppy housekeeping.
And this is a really crucial analytical difference from the first case. In case 1, the anxiety was immediate. Here, the witness rationalizes the disarray. They tell themselves, it's just a cheap hotel, bad cleaning.
It's the moment they regret later.
Of course. Was it just poor cleaning? Or was it early evidence of a prior presence? A sign that the room was already scoped out, or even more frighteningly, used by the intruder right before they checked in?
The auditory intrusion sequence begins around midnight, and it's just this textbook, terrifying escalation. First, the doorknob turning slowly, testing the lock.
And then comes the critical sound, the distinct, metallic, small metal scraping.
The sound of a key.
The sound of a key sliding into the keyhole. At midnight, any legitimate staff member, even in an emergency, would knock.
Yeah.
Loudly. They'd identify themselves.
Right, housekeeping or maintenance.
Exactly. The silence, combined with the methodical use of a key, just screams premeditation and unauthorized access.
The key turns, but thankfully, the deadbolt holds. A thin sliver of hallway light is visible through the crack. There's a gentle push against the door.
Yeah.
And then silence. Retreat.
And the intruder isn't panicked by the deadbolt. They're methodical. They recognize the momentary defeat, and they just back off.
The witness eventually tries to fall asleep again, only to wake up around 2:15 in the morning to slight rustling sounds.
And that feeling.
And that absolute primal certainty that someone was in there with me. They sit bolt upright, and the rustling stops instantly.
Which confirms intelligence and proximity.
And the visual is just stark. A shadowy figure barely visible in the dark hovering over my bag. This shifts the entire incident from an attempted break-in to a confirmed ongoing crime.
And then
the confrontation. The witness, panicked, just asks, "Who is that?" The response, delivered in a deep male voice, tries to mask the crime with the ultimate cover story.
What did he say?
"It's housekeeping, sorry, I'll leave now." The figure just bolts, the door opens, closes. The witness checks their bag, and it had clearly been gone through.
So it was a confirmed theft attempt. Or worse, masked by a lie about staff duties.
This is where the documentation comes in. The police are called, and the witness, knowing they need proofs, demands the surveillance footage. This is the evidential center of this whole case.
And the hotel worker only complies when the police are actually there.
Right. And the footage reveal is just. It's damning proof of institutional negligence. It showed a large, scary-looking man repeatedly going to the door described as sketchy and eventually entering the room.
With a key.
With a key.
So the front desk, seeing this absolute proof of an internal failure, what do? They immediately shift the narrative.
They did. They conceded a key was used, but they claimed the man didn't work there. He stole a master key.
Okay, let's just talk about the severe liability implications of a stolen master key. Master keys are the literal heart of hotel security.
The whole system depends on them.
The entire system. For one to be stolen or just unsecured to the point where a non-employee can repeatedly access a guest room and successfully commit a crime, that speaks to staggering chronic operational negligence.
So their defense is actually an admission of guilt.
It's a confession. Their immediate defense, shifting the blame to some random external criminal act, actually confirms that the fundamental vulnerability exists in their system. They failed to control the keys.
This case is just a dark confirmation. The fear was real, the criminal was documented on video, and the access was achieved purely through the hotel's fundamental security weaknesses.
And the witness
fled, chose to sleep in their car rather than spend another second inside that compromised building.
So case 1 showed us psychological terror enabled by a broken latch. Case 2 showed us direct criminal intrusion enabled by catastrophic key management failure.
And both cases serve as this crucial lesson for you, the listener. Your sanctuary is only as secure as the lowest common denominator of its staff's competence, or its cheapest locking mechanism.
All right, now we shift gears. Completely.
We do. We're moving past human intruders and physical security failures, and we're heading straight into the realm of the inexplicable.
Section 2 deals with case files 3 and 4, which introduce phenomena that defy human definition. Environmental manipulation, intense sensory triggers, and figures that resist any rational identification.
And this next story starts in a cheap hotel in New Jersey, chosen for convenience. The sensory detail that really sets the tone is that old smell, combined with hallways that were too quiet.
There's that quiet again. It's an amplifier. It's preparing the mind for hypervigilance.
The witness checks in early in the evening, and the front desk woman provides the first key piece of misinformation.
Oh, this is important.
She says housekeeping had already cleaned all the rooms for the night. This is crucial because that statement sets a baseline of order that is about to be systematically, terrifyingly undermined.
The witness describes feeling this precursor anxiety. They're focusing on a dark corner near a small closet. This is often that psychological ramp-up before an encounter.
The brain signaling something's wrong.
Yes, your brain is signaling that something is wrong with the periphery. It's forcing your attention onto a space you would typically just ignore. They eventually fall asleep, but that environment, it's already working on them.
The encounter begins after midnight. The witness is woken by that sliding sound on the carpet, which echoes case 1. But then comes the new, core-chilling detail.
What is it?
A quiet breathing sound, not mine, coming from near the closet. The sound was slow and labored, like someone trying too hard to remain silent.
Oh, that's deeply unsettling. That labored, conscious effort to suppress a natural bodily function.
It's awful.
It implies intelligence. It implies proximity. And it implies a specific focus on the victim. It's a violation achieved purely through sound.
The witness forces themselves to sit up, and the breathing stops. Instantly.
That synchronization, that implies an intelligent entity that is aware of the witness's position, their state of awareness, and their reaction.
But then comes the subtle confirmation. The thing that proves this isn't just a sound hallucination. The closet door, which the witness was absolutely certain they had left fully open after checking it earlier.
What about it?
It was now slightly closed.
And that's the moment. That's the moment objective reality is challenged. You're confronted with the psychological battle of unreliable memory versus objective terror.
You start to doubt yourself.
You do. But the witness is certain the door moved. And that small physical change, the shifting of a boundary, is what pushes the experience from just anxiety into pure external terror. The integrity of the room, the basic laws of physics as you know them, have been violated.
So the witness flees. They go downstairs. And the front desk worker is just maddeningly calm. Suggests the witness might have had a nightmare or woke up confused.
The institutional dismissal. Treating the physical evidence and the sensory input as a mental failing of the guest. It's a second trauma.
The witness feels insulted, but they accept a room switch. They check the new room meticulously.
But the threat isn't done. It's relentless. About an hour later, just as the witness starts drifting off in the new room, they hear this distinct, mundane sound.
What is it?
A housekeeping cart, rolling down the hallway, very slowly, squeaky wheels just echoing in the quiet.
Wait, I have to stop you. A housekeeping cart. The front desk had just told her that cleaning was done for the night.
Exactly.
This sounds like the intelligent threat from the first case, but it's using a different method of approach.
Yeah.
It's using the hotel's own structure, its own sounds, against the guest.
It's the normalization of the threat. The sound of the cart stops right outside their new door, and then the breathing returns. The heavy, slow breathing, exactly like the sound they heard in the first room.
So it followed them.
It strongly suggests an intelligent relocating threat. It's actively pursuing the guest across different rooms, and it's utilizing the auditory mask of the hotel environment to do it.
And the final act in this room is the most invasive. There's a gentle knocking sound, but not with knuckles. It was like a palm pressing slowly on the door, feeling the door, not knocking.
It's a silent, invasive inspection, confirming its presence right at the border, right at the edge of the sanctuary.
The crucial piece of this puzzle comes the next morning. The witness goes to check out, meets a different desk worker who drops the bomb.
What is it?
They had not had a housekeeper on staff for the last week. The woman who worked nights had just stopped coming in. And critically, she still had her keys.
Wow.
That one detail just explodes the first desk worker's claim. The phantom cart, the heavy breathing, the closet door. It suggests either a relentless human stalker operating under the perfect cover story of a missing employee using her keys.
Which echoes the vulnerability in case 2.
Right. Or it suggests something non-human that is mimicking the threat structure of the hotel staff. The environmental manipulation, that closet door moving on its own, paired with the relentless pursuit across rooms, is just deeply disturbing because it blends the criminal and the cryptic.
And if we assume the most frightening possibility, that it was an anomalous presence, it demonstrates a sophisticated understanding of human fear protocols. It used the sound of a cart, a normal sound, to approach, and the heavy breathing to create terror. It's an intelligent entity learning how to be scary within a human structure.
Okay, case file 4 is unique. Our witness is a house person, a combination of maintenance and housekeeping.
So this is an employee, a credible witness.
Exactly. Someone who is deeply familiar with the building's routines, its sounds, its vulnerabilities. This makes their subsequent confusion and terror profoundly significant.
Their story starts with a physical anomaly that seems completely random. They're restocking towels at the pool late at night. The pool area requires a master key to access, which means they are alone. Suddenly, they hear something hit the water. They look and find a lifesaver floating on top of the pool.
I want to spend a second on that lifesaver detail. It's bulky, it's maybe 3 or 4 pounds, it doesn't just slip off a hook.
No, you have to throw it.
You have to throw it. Analyze the kinetic force required to get that thing into the middle of the pool. The employee is certain no one was registered or seen at the pool.
So this introduces the concept of unseen physical manipulation, a force capable of moving a heavy object without a visible presence. It's like the entity is announcing its physical capabilities before the main event.
The setting then shifts to room 324, an empty room where the employee is fixing a toilet before a guest arrives on Friday. While working, the core phenomenon occurs.
What's that?
An abrupt, immediate drop in temperature. It makes her hair stand up, which is illogical on a warm summer night.
A localized extreme cold spot. It's a classic signifier of something, an energy drain, an instant environmental shift designed to disrupt.
And it's followed by an instantaneous return to normal warmth. The thermostat even reads 68 degrees, which confirms the event's fleeting nature. It wasn't a draft or the AC kicking on.
We often compare this to atmospheric shifts reported in these high-stress, anomalous locations. It's a signature calling card for something non-human, or at least something that can defy basic thermal laws. It destabilizes the witness's physical reality.
The climax sequence starts with a loud thump coming from outside the bathroom. It's immediately followed by the return of that cold feeling. The employee looks out at the bathroom. They note the room phone is dangling from the nightstand, a momentary distraction that confirms something physical just happened. But their focus quickly shifts to the corner.
And what do they see?
The visual description is maybe the most terrifying in all 4 cases. Right next to the bed stands a really tall person standing still as ever. The employee emphasizes that they couldn't see any features. It was completely black, a featureless figure.
How did they describe it?
Hauntingly, like a character outline when you unlock them in a fighting game.
Let's just dissect the terror of a featureless figure for a moment. Why is that image, that pure black outline, so much more frightening than a monster with defined eyes or teeth or claws?
I don't know. Why?
Because it denies the human brain the ability to rationalize, to categorize, to project human intent onto it. Our brains are hardwired to interpret faces, even in shadows, to find eyes, a nose, an expression.
But there's nothing there to interpret.
There's nothing. When you're presented with a void in the shape of a person, the brain encounters an intelligent object it just cannot process. It's pure potential malice, unbound by human physics or emotion. It is just a presence of intent, a black geometry of dread.
The employee is frozen stiff.
Yeah.
And then the movement.
And it's the movement of dread. The witness states, I don't know which limb moved, but all I know is I saw this figure move. It wasn't a run or a jump. It was just a subtle shift in the silhouette.
That's all it took.
That minor motion, that indication that this entity is not stationary, that it can act, triggers the employee's instantaneous primal flight. They bolt, they fling the door open, abandon their tools, and flee the room and the building.
The employee's designation for it is telling. They just call it a thing. They immediately connect the pool incident, the thrown lifesaver, to the room incident.
So they see it as one continuous event.
One event. This was not a confused or malevolent human. It was something operating entirely outside the realm of comprehension, manipulating the environment before revealing itself as an indescribable shadow.
And what gives this account such weight is the witness's expertise. This wasn't a vulnerable tourist waking up in a strange place. This was a working professional familiar with the building, and yet the encounter was so jarring they immediately punched out and fled the hotel, unable to rationalize it away. That confirms the severity of the intrusion.
So we have 4 rooms, 4 distinct failures. The window latch, the master key, the sensory boundary of silence, and the environmental integrity of the space itself.
Case 1 and 2 were human threats, confirmed by physical evidence and video. Case 3 and 4 were phenomenal threats, confirmed by sensory reality and dramatic environmental manipulation.
But the common thread, the thing that unites both the human and the cryptic threats, is the exploitation of isolation.
Yes. We need to dissect the psychology of that isolation and the sensory amplification that comes with it, because that is the medium in which all of these intrusions flourish.
All 4 accounts emphasize the dead quiet of the hotel after midnight. We're creatures of noise traffic, city sounds, the TV were psychologically used to background distraction.
And when we step into that isolated artificial silence, the dead halls, the dark parking lots, our brain is forced into hyperfocus. This isn't relaxation, this is hypervigilance. It's an evolutionary defense mechanism.
Which means those minute sounds, the sliding paper in case 1, the key scraping in case 2, the quiet breathing in case 3, they are no longer just ambient noise.
No, they're amplified. They take on massive significance because they violate the expected silence.
It's a primal alert.
Think about the evolutionary imperative. If you are sleeping in a safe place, silence is good. A tiny, unnatural sound, a twig snapping, the rustle of a predator signals immediate danger. In the hotel, that mundane sound of a doorknob turning slowly in the dead of night, like in case 2, is that primal alert. The boundary has been challenged by an intelligent agent.
And the slow speed, the gentle push, it's calculated.
It's calculated to maximize the auditory stress. And in case 3, the breathing was slow, labored, consciously suppressed. It told the witness 2 things. 1, the threat is close, and 2, it knows I am listening. That is the definition of targeted psychological torture.
And once that initial boundary is crossed, whether it's by a key or a note, the brain starts associating every mundane hotel noise with the threat.
The air conditioner clicking, the pipes tapping. Suddenly, the entire environment designed for relaxation becomes a source of acute, relentless stress. The victim is trapped between the sound of their own heartbeat and the potential sound of the intruder.
So let's get to the most crucial analytical distinction here. The comparison between, say, the broken latch and the black figure. Physical security failed against the human intruders. Environmental security failed against the anomalous threat.
But are they truly separate? Or do the cryptic threats operate by leveraging the vulnerabilities created by the criminal ones?
That is the core question.
In cases 1 and 2, the intruders needed physical tools. A broken latch, a stolen key. Their motive was human. Observation, theft, malice. Their actions were predictable, even if they were terrifying. But the entities in cases 3 and 4 operated on a different plane. They moved doors, they threw heavy objects, they manipulated temperature, they didn't need a key.
So if the figure in case 4, the thing, can manipulate thermal energy and throw a lifesaver, why would it bother mimicking human protocol, like the phantom cart and quiet breathing in case 3?
This suggests a convergence of terror. The anomalous threat, if that's what we're looking at in cases 3 and 4, seems to possess a sophisticated understanding of human vulnerability and our security framework.
Like it's learning.
It's almost as if the anomalous entity learns the protocols of fear. It doesn't need a key, but it uses the sound of a threat like the cart to signal its pursuit across 2 different rooms.
So the human failings, the stolen key, the missing employee, they provide the perfect blueprint for the cryptic threat to operate without being immediately identified as supernatural.
Exactly. The fear of the human stalker and the fear of the supernatural shadow just merge seamlessly. The human intruder makes us fear our security is compromised. The cryptic intruder exploits that fear, reinforcing the belief that the hotel staff is either lying or criminally negligent.
So the ultimate failure is the room's integrity itself.
Its ability to contain and protect you. If the room isn't secure against a human criminal because of a broken lock, how can you expect it to be secure against an entity that can manipulate the physical environment without even needing a door?
The witness in case 4 recognized that fundamental shift. That's why they called it a thing.
That moment of naming the indescribable is the recognition that the bounds of your reality have been challenged by something that possesses vast, undetectable power. The terror isn't just what it did, but what its capabilities imply for human safety.
Let's circle back at the hotel management. Across all 4 of these cases, the response was denial, minimization, or just outright lies. Why is that institutional impulse so universally geared towards protecting the bottom line over the guest's safety and sanity?
It's the psychology of corporate liability. Admitting a broken window latch, or even worse, a stolen master key, opens the door to massive financial liability. Police involvement, lawsuits, public relations, nightmares.
So the quick dismissal.
The weird misunderstanding or the suggestion that the guest had a nightmare is a cheap, immediate defense mechanism for the institution. The safety of the single guest is always subordinate to the appearance of institutional integrity.
We saw that so vividly in Case 1, where the employee was nervous but quick to frame the broken lock as something minor, and in Case 2, the manager immediately claimed the master key was stolen, shifting blame rather than accepting responsibility for negligent key security.
But the most egregious example was Case 3. The front desk worker lied outright, claimed housekeeping had been through the rooms when they knew the housekeeper had been missing for a week.
And that lie?
That lie serves multiple functions. It covers up a staff shortage, it maintains the illusion of cleanliness, and it inadvertently creates the perfect, normalized cover story for the very entity, whether human or cryptic, that was stalking the guest with that phantom card.
This realization that the people you trust to keep you safe are either incompetent or actively trying to deceive you, that's often the deeper, more lasting trauma than the encounter itself. The fear is compounded by betrayal.
And that betrayal forces the ultimate flight response. When the hotel contract is broken, when shelter and security are proven to be an illusion, the guest has no choice but to find safety elsewhere. The witnesses felt forced to flee the city or sleep in their car rather than rely on the hotel administration to resolve the situation.
Which confirms that institutional failure is a form of active danger.
The cost of that dismissal is the complete destruction of the guest's trust in any transient space they enter afterward. The knowledge nugget here is crucial. When a security incident occurs, assume the management is immediately working to protect the hotel's liability, not your immediate well-being. That understanding has to dictate your response.
Demand documentation, demand police presence, and trust your instincts over their narrative.
So this deep dive into these temporary sanctuaries has revealed just profound vulnerabilities, both physical and psychological.
Let's summarize the most critical knowledge points for anyone who might be stepping into an anonymous hotel room tonight.
First, physical due diligence has to be comprehensive. You must check all locks and, crucially, windows, as proven by Case 1. Don't assume security has been maintained. Assume a physical breach is possible.
And second,
upon any confirmed security breach, demand documentation and video footage immediately. Do not rely on the desk worker's verbal account. As Case 2 showed, the footage often contradicts the institutional narrative.
And finally, recognize the profound psychological impact of intentional silence from an unseen observer. If your senses tell you something is wrong, if the environment is too quiet, your brain is hypervigilant for a reason. Don't rationalize away the threat for convenience.
Those slow, intentional sounds, the sliding paper, the quiet breathing, the barely moving figure, they are designed to break down your certainty and render you immobile.
The 4 rooms we analyzed, the Pennsylvania room, the Virginia room, the New Jersey room, and room 324, they were all designed to be forgettable shelters.
But the intruders, both human and maybe not, they seem to treat them as hunting grounds, fully aware of the protocols and vulnerabilities. When you check in, you are accepting a trade-off: convenience for anonymity.
And the true terror, the final thought that builds on these sources, is realizing that for some entities, whether it's a human stalker or a featureless shadow, your anonymity is precisely what makes you worth watching.
These rooms are transient for us. They're designed to be wiped clean between visits. But what happens to the energy of a space when secrets and fear and institutional lies accumulate over decades? The intruders, the criminals, the negligence, the featureless things, they understand the temporary nature of the guest. You may leave the hotel, but the fear, the compromised security, and the presence itself, they remain. They wait, knowing the next guest will step into that manufactured sanctuary, expecting peace, ready to be observed.